Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of the Now Videocast. I've got another fellow coach who's also a fellow member of the ICF Luxembourg board. I'm grateful to call him a friend. He's been very supportive of me on my journey, always a sounding ear, always an open heart, full of wisdom, full of British wit, which you wouldn't expect because he looks like a gentleman, but he's got it in him. And today I got Keith Amoss on the show, and we both come from a background of being very emotive men. We feel a lot, we're very empathetic, always searching to serve and support and to help. And we connect very much on that level between the two of us. So,
wow, thank you,
Lucy.
Is
that okay? Thank you.
That's great. What of course has been the case is I had to pay him a lot of money to say those lovely words, but some of them are true. But I'll let you pick out which bits are. Great to be in. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for. We've been planning this for the longest time. We just haven't been able to synchronize our time, but here we are today, and
sat on a couch together, matching and mirroring each other, which is always good.
Today we're talking as the man, not the coach. Okay. It's hard to take the coaching.
Almost impossible.
Okay, so let's dive in and start with a little bit of what made you. How far do you want to go back? I mean, you want to share a bit about growing up in the UK? Where about in the UK?
Sure.
You know, it's hard to pick up the accent, to be honest.
I've been accused of being South African, actually.
Really?
Or would be even worse, Zimbabwean, but I haven't been accused.
Worse or better? I don't know. We speak the Queen's English.
It's a southern English accent. Well, in fact, a London accent. I was born in London many years ago in Lewisham, so South London.
Wow, great.
But had a great career, being able to move around, and I picked up probably some franglais and some.
Because you don't have the Cockney accent. You got the Cockney wit, but you don't have the Cockney accent.
I'm a West Ham supporter, so occasionally I can let it, you know what I mean? But normally, no, I try to stay a little bit more civilized.
Okay, fantastic. I never knew that. Lewisham. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And what was it like growing up in Lewisham?
No. Potted history was that we didn't. My parents didn't stay there very long, in fact, and they moved down to the south of England, in the kind of in the middle of the triangle between Reading, Newbury, and Basingstoke, if anyone knows that area. So I moved out of what was termed the smoke into an area of countryside. So as I grew up as a child, I had forests and fields and the countryside rather than London. Although all my relatives remained in London, so I would go up to visit them. So yeah, I started off in I'll really do a quick potted history. School in Basingstoke. Went from there to join the civil service until I knew what I wanted to do. Was doing business studies at the time. Didn't really like it, but was able to get a job in the civil service doing something which was earning me some money until I really knew what my true vocation was. Well, it turned out my true vocation was ultimately the civil service. So I started off in the Civil Service Commission. I ended up in the Ministry of Defence, and in the Ministry of Defence worked in Whitehall in the glory days of, well, for some people, Margaret Thatcher and Michael Heseltine and people like that, so working in Whitehall. And I got into what was really personnel management then. And I still think it should be called personnel management rather than human resource management. I hate that. I think that's...
Before it became human resources, it was called personnel management.
Okay, and so that's what I did. Did the Institute of Personnel and Development, which was in those days Institute of Personnel and Management professional qualifications. And again, keeping it short, was very lucky to have an opportunity to be seconded to work for North Atlantic Treaty Organization in personnel management, and became the head of personnel in various different places. So worked in Norway, in the UK, in Germany, Luxembourg, and thoroughly enjoyed my time there. So I ended up my career in Luxembourg and decided to stay here.
So just before you go on, I know you a little bit, and you're very much a people-orientated person. These choices that were happening, were they conscious, like you always wanted to be in the field of supporting people, or was it kind of gravitating towards your deeper and more natural
I was
character.
my first job was one of my early jobs was organization and methods. This was looking at work study, statistics, racking and stacking in ordnance depots of the army. No, that wasn't me at all. I realized that wasn't it. So I wanted to get into something which was more dealing with people. Although, as an aside here, anyone that tells you that they love working with people has obviously never worked with people, because
it's complicated, right?
some of them are absolutely a nightmare. But yeah, I got into that world and realized that personnel management, as it was then, HR as it is now, was really, that was my scene.
I'm so sorry, I cut you off.
No.
So you worked for NATO for some years? Is that what brought you to Luxembourg?
Yeah, finally brought me to Luxembourg.
We have NATO offices here.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, we do quite very big, in fact. 1,500 or so people working on there or another bases close by. So that was as the head of secretariat. Previous to that, I've been head of talent management for NATO headquarters, and that's where I really got my love for development, training, coaching, and mentoring.
Oh, sorry, gone?
No.
And what was it like working for NATO? Because most ordinary people, you hear about NATO very abstractly. What was it like being inside NATO? Is it?
It's well, NATO's broken down into various parts. So you've got the military commands, which are really concerned with operational activities. You've got places like here in Luxembourg, Capellen, the logistics areas. You've got other areas which look after information technology, satellite communications, that type of thing.
Okay.
And NATO headquarters, which is really the diplomatic part. That's where the ambassadors are. And that's
where the headquarters?
In Brussels.
Okay.
That's where the headquarters is sited, in a beautiful building. And that's where the political decisions are taken.
Okay. So you had a good time in NATO?
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. A fantastic career. Really. It's an international civil service, so I was a civilian all the time, but working alongside military colleagues and very, very good people. Now it's 32 member nations. At the early days, it was first off around 12 nations.
So it's grown a lot.
Oh, yeah.
In a short space of time.
Yeah.
Because you're still a young lad, no? So.
Barely 40. Yeah.
And what did you discover most about you through NATO? Because, like you say, being a civil servant, working in such a industry that's exposed to so much, they influence a lot of the peace and supporting wars or trying to stop wars. And
yeah,
you'll be shaped quite a bit by that kind of environment, right?
I think what you really get to appreciate is that different nationalities and different cultures view things in a different way. Okay. If you take, for example, if I went in to see maybe an American representative or a British representative or German, it would be kind of, let's get down to business quite quickly. What about this funding? What about this issue? Okay. If I went to some of the Southern European nations and we were talking about something, the first thing would be, hey, Keith, you want a coffee? Have a sit down? How are you? How's the family? How's things? It was a very much different way. And I realized that you could still get to a great answer to a solution, but from a very different perspective and a very different way of doing things.
So it opened your eyes to a lot of multicultural, and that expands your capability to connect with different people, right?
I'd like to think so, but the thing is, you get very used to broken English. And what I always loved about it was that you would, because the two official languages are English and French. Okay. So as a Brit with not that great French, if I walked into an area where there were, let's say there was a German, there was an Italian, there was a Spanish person, and maybe a French person, they would change their language if they were speaking into English to accommodate me. Wow, that's impressive, isn't it? I mean, that's incredible. So you used to give people lots of grace when they would make linguistic mistakes. Okay. A classic German one was, and maybe some. If German folks are watching this, I'll do this with love, but if they talk about the reverse of a paper, they'd say on the backside, which we know in English languages, backside has a different connotation. So you would have the odd giggle now and again, but there we are. Okay, nice.
And so just a little bit before we move on.
Yeah.
Growing up, did you see yourself becoming this kind of coach, people-orientated person?
The human resources is pay, it's welfare, it's administration, it's recruitment, it's pensions, it's all those things. But the best area for me was training and development, because that's the first time that someone comes along, knocks on the door, says, "Oh, hi Keith. Oh, that great training course, love that. It's really good." You think, I got thanked. You know, people don't get thanked. They don't come to you if you're in payroll and say, thanks for paying me this month. So you get something back from that. And I really, that's really where I enjoyed it the most.
Did you have any pain points through the civil service, through NATO, through SEO? What is the things that you feel that those things taught you the most about what you don't want to be like, or take away, or wish to change in the world?
I can't think of anything at this moment. I'm only very positive because I learned a lot of things, structure, professionalism, the way things should be done, how you should deal with requests, how you should deal with even simple matters like answering the telephone, all those sort of things the civil service does extremely well, and writing and communicating. Okay. So fantastic. Good stuff.
And then so we end up in Luxembourg.
Yeah.
And to do a little bit more, what's your purpose? Do you have a calling here? Is there something that you want to achieve here? Or are you just settling here? Is it now home? Or?
It's home for me now, and it will be. But there's three things that I think are really important, which I've discovered about myself, which is really to get to know yourself, to know who you are, and that means your values, your personality, the things you like, the things you dislike, you know. And once you know that, you're better placed to do the things you want to do. Then those things have got to be available. So leaving, as I did, still, I could have stayed on in NATO, but I found it was a good time to leave and do my own thing.
You chose to leave?
I chose to leave, yeah, and had a great send-off and loved it. But now I was scared because now I'm in the private sector. Now, you know, it's your own tax, it's your own insurance, it's your own website, it's all this stuff that the private sector people will laugh that the civil service would find so complicated, but they are. So taking that on was a challenge, but yeah, absolutely loved it, and I don't regret a moment of what I've been doing ever since.
It's very adaptable. I see that, and I'm going through my own, so I can connect with that. So it takes a lot of resilience and self-belief, even if it's not spoken out loud, to take such a plunge, right?
Well, I'll take the compliment, but it also takes a lot of very good and friendly and supportive people around you. And I was very lucky to have people who were able to say, Keith, yeah, you can do that. Of course you can. You know, that I've done it. You know, my partner would say to me, you know, and I'm sure you can too. So yes, it's frightening, but if you've got someone that can kind of hold you by the hand and lead you, then that obviously helps a great deal.
And Luxembourg,
yeah,
before, has it changed a lot in your time?
Enormously. 20 odd years ago, there was lots of fields. You would go into a bank and there would be people with bags of money dropping it off.
Oh, wow,
no name, nothing mentioned, no names, no pat drill, no skyscrapers. Kirchberg was green space. So yeah, it was very different now to what it is now. Yeah.
Okay. And you've got kids, right?
2 children, but
they're not kids. They're
not
right?
kids. I wouldn't say that. Hardly. No, they're in their 30s now. So I have little grandchildren running around. So that's really cool. Yeah.
That must be nice and refreshing for you because you got life in you, like you said. You know,
well,
you're so jovial.
It means when you get down on the carpet to play, you know, with toys on the ground, it's more difficult to get back up again.
I don't believe it for a second.
But no. It's really fun. You know what children can bring, young children. You know, you forget as a parent, you're still working, still doing stuff. You don't really have quite so much time to enjoy your children. I know they won't like me saying that, but that is the case because you're too busy.
Yes.
When you're a grandparent, you have the opportunity. Oh my gosh, no, you can literally get down on the floor, play with them, and do nonsense with them, and have fun. So that's what I like.
And I can imagine that they would be getting the best of you because I've only met you 4 years, 4 years know each other, 3 years maybe.
Yeah.
And you've got this zest for life and this jovial, kind, authentic, human approach, which I think
I'm taking my checkbook out now. Again?
After. I'm telling you now, it's all calculated.
I don't know where that comes from. I just think it's really important. Always keep learning. So always stay up with things, always have an interest in something. And I always have done, and I always like to keep learning and doing things. And you know, what's the latest thing? You know, I listen to house music, I listen to, you know, I just stay with it. Not to a ridiculous extent where your children and grandchildren would laugh at you because, you know, who are you? But to the extent that you just need to be aware of what's going on in the world and stay with it, really.
And is that part of your secret to this positive, happy humor. You have some?
Humor. If you can stay, also, if you can
Nice.
stay and you know, treat things with a bit of a laugh now and again, I think that definitely helps. And I've always been very lucky in that sense. So
lucky hearts. Why
in
do
the
you
sense
say
that,
lucky? Like,
well, you know, it's part of your personality, isn't it? I don't know if you can, if you don't have a sense of humor, I don't know if you can develop one. But if you have one, then you tend to find something in any situation which will make you laugh and lighten the load. If you look at Laurel and Hardy or some of the great classics, they were older men, but they were just kids at heart. So an element of that helps.
You say Laurel and Hardy. I remember Laurel and Hardy. I think I watched it on black and white TV back in
Yeah,
Zimbabwe.
sure.
But they always looked young, you know?
Yeah.
They have that thing where they
It's the aura,
older
isn't it?
men playing childish, enjoying life, and they have that young look.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that's one of the things. Surround yourself with positive people. That always helps. If you,
How do you find them, Keith? Do you attract them, or do you make them? Like, because you just say surround yourself with positive people. That's like, how do you choose? Like, okay, they positive, so I'm going to hang out with them. Is it a choice like that, or do you make yourself a positive person?
It sounds horrible because you think you're judging everyone. You're not judging people, but there are certain times in your life when you realize I've been giving a lot, for example, in this particular circumstance. I'm not sure I'm getting much back. So you find that the positive people, they're giving you something. No, they're giving you a boost. They're upping your energy. They're not always perhaps bringing you down or draining you. And that's the thing. So I think, but of course, you know, everyone has up and down days. Don't get me wrong. Of course, the most positive and lively people can also have negative times. But no, I think there's a way in which you will naturally find your own, what do they call it, clan, or your own people. Yeah.
And on a vulnerable trajectory for a second, what do you say that gets you down? On your bad days, what does Keith look like?
West Ham losing? No, that's
normal.
That's normal actually. No. What gets me down? Well, I think one of the things that's really bad at the moment is that everybody is telling you what you should do. Something which is quite odd. I don't know whether I should be whether I need to be saying this, but if you click on almost any kind of social media channel or whatever, you'll see people having, you should be investing in this, you should be doing that, you should be changing your life, you should be eating better. Much of it is good, but now we're swamped with it. So I think, well, you know, that's something that's a bit negative, but gets me really down. Cruelty, things that I see which are deliberate and okay, can I use the word evil? Those sorts of things can depress me for quite a while. What's going on in the world at the moment is, it's at the stage where you almost have to turn off the news, I think, if you want to stay sane, because it's so negative at the moment. Trying to find the positive is difficult.
And when you have those moments, what do you do for self-care? How do you get yourself out of it? And what do you
meditate? You know, for those who are not into astrology, and I'm not really, but I'm a Virgo, and Virgos are earth signs, which is both feet on the ground, very practical, pragmatic. I suppose that would be true of me. However, I was lucky enough to be in a situation where somebody introduced me into something which is a bit more ethereal, which was Qi Kong, in fact, which is the use of energy, something like Tai Chi. And from that escalated and developed into meditation. So I find an awful lot of people are doing it, an awful lot of people are benefiting from it. So I can't say I do it every day, but I would do it periodically. And boy, do I get something from that. Not long periods, not like for passing a 2-week meditation, sat in a room staring at a blank wall, but just 10 minutes can help, just to center yourself and feel a bit more grounded and thankful for what you've got.
And ICF Luxembourg, we've been on the board, I think, with the longest serving members.
Yeah,
no?
Yeah,
is it?
Yeah, we have.
What pulled you to join the ICF board of International Coaching Federation Luxembourg? You know, it's a thankless job. Sorry, it's a thankless job, right? But
in the early days, I think there was a need to bring in some professionalism, and I think the ICF offered that, because coaching is a bit similar to being an estate agent, right? You don't, anyone can be an estate agent. In a sense, anyone can be a coach.
Yes.
So what I liked about the ICF was it was saying, oh, hang on a minute, there needs to be a bit of professionalism here. You need training, you need education, you need understanding how to deal with ethical issues. You know, and so the ICF for me was the one. There's also EMCC, but the ICF was worldwide, so I thought that was something to get engaged with. So yeah, very happy to have been asked if I wanted to join the board, and did so. Yeah.
And I know you said to me earlier that I'm your favorite board member, but
no, I didn't.
sorry, Alex and Grace.
I didn't say that at all. Least, you forgot the least.
Sorry, I left that out on purpose. You talk about positivity, right? I want you to feel better. Hey, on the coaching notes.
Yeah.
So from NATO and civil service, why career coaching? Working more with people in a time where you left that.
No, because Lindsay, the thing was, I was getting something back in seeing people who went on training courses or had coaching or received that and mentorship, and I was lucky enough to have a couple of really good mentors in my life. So I thought that's what I would like to do. If I could do anything, I'd really love to do that. So it wasn't a big jump. What the question was when you get into coaching is, what do I want to coach? Do I want to be a life coach? Do I want to be a relationship coach? Do I want to be, you know, there's 101 different coaches there now. And the logical thing was, what have I got experience in? Okay, well, I've got 20 plus years experience in human resources, recruiting, developing, and so on. So career, that's got to be the thing. So that's really where I focused, and as I say, love it.
Okay, and thank you for that. And with this, with your career in the coaching, what are the biggest struggles you found that people have in terms of career change and,
you know,
evolution? And
there's people doing jobs because they can do them. And if you're doing a job because you can do it and you're happy doing it, wonderful. But if you're doing a job because you can do it, but you actually hate going into work every day, that's not good. So there are people who, you know, they're working in a financial institution, they have the car, they have the wife, they have the children at private school, they have 3 holidays a year, everything fantastic. But Sunday night comes and they're going, oh, stand the thought of going in. So that's interesting when I meet those people, because it's then, you know, that what's happening is their values, their personality, who they are, doesn't match what they're doing.
yes.
On the other hand, when people who have got to that point and then say, yeah, but I don't know if I can make that change, when they do make that change, which takes a lot of bravery, I won't use that word lightly, when they do make that change, sometimes into a very different profession, they are so impressive. So without naming any names or bringing any attention to anybody, when I've seen people completely change what they've been doing in terms of function and career into a wholly different function and career, that's impressive. So for example, people working in offices in C-suite levels that became teachers.
Oh wow, wow, that's a big transition.
Someone who was in, again, a similar senior position, this is the one I'm very proud of, train driver.
Oh wow.
So, you know, so it can happen.
Wow. And
it can happen at any age. These are not always necessarily young people. But the majority of people will probably stay in the same lane. So if they're in the financial world, they'd like to stay in the same lane doing what they're doing, but they'd like to move into perhaps a different environment, different. Sometimes, and this is a long answer, but sometimes it's not actually about changing the job, it's about changing your reaction and your attitude towards the job and towards the people you're working with. That can also make a huge difference.
So that wouldn't necessarily be a career change, just improving the current career you're in.
Correct.
Right? Okay. And you support on both fronts.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
you could tell someone who's looking to jump that maybe where you are is good because you got what it takes. Maybe we just need to change perspective on it.
Well, there you come to the classic coaching point. It's not to tell anyone anything, but,
sure.
but yes, I know I just called you out there, so that's good.
True.
So just to make myself feel better. No, but when people come to that own realization that their values, that, you know, what I value, what matters to me, is not what's going on in this organization, and they come to the conclusion, yeah, I have to leave. I have to leave. I have to leave this boss. I have to leave these people around me. I have to leave this type of work. And then as I are brave enough to then take the steps, of course, support them all the way. CV, interview skills, interview preparation, networking, and all those good things that they need.
So fantastic.
Yeah.
And keep with I mean, it can be difficult. And you said the bravery, I get it. It's, it's not a common thing.
No.
But when do you ever feel like, okay, I'm stuck here as a coach because this person is just like, it's too much. Do you ever find moments like that where you have people coming and they're looking for a career change, but you feel they need more than that?
Well, all coaches are like general practitioners in a sense. All trained professional coaches are like general practitioners, and a general practitioner in the medical world is the person you see first of all. Maybe you've got a problem with your ears or your throat, but you go and see the GP first. The GP assesses you. Okay, now you need to go and see a specialist. So all coaches have that ability to, I think, answer anything that comes their way. So yes, you're right. The presenting problem is sometimes not the problem. So sometimes the career issue that comes to me when you discuss it with someone, that's not really the issue that's bugging them.
Yeah.
That's not the real problem they have. So of course we can then go further and develop and help them with goal setting and things to sort out some other issue in their life. So I don't restrict it wholly to that, but that's the majority of the work that I do. It's clearly on careers.
And we had a discussion before our time together here, some private time, and we were talking about the men versus women, society expectations. In career coaching, do you see more men or women making those leaps, taking that brave leap? Is there anything to relate it at all? Not that it matters, but just curiosity on where.
I haven't done that assessment of like how many.
Okay.
But I'm roughly 50-50, honestly.
Okay.
And different ages and different types of work.
Okay.
So
okay. And to go a little bit into us men and serving, what do you feel men need more of nowadays?
God, this is a great question. I think men are, I mean, if you're a certain age, if you're male, pale and stale like I am, you're like the enemy at the moment. And I feel that's really bad. I don't think that's what we are, but I think that's how we're being portrayed. So there's a general understanding that, the patriarchy is the root of all evil, and so on. Interestingly, I and this is contentious, but interestingly, I've got daughters, I've a partner, I had a mum, I've had aunties, I've had grandchildren, all girls, surrounded by girls. So I understand the difficulties they go through. What I've seen with women is actually, and girls, is that they are normally way more switched on than the men most of the time. They're able to control the situation to a better extent. Now, of course, not in every case, and there are some terrible men out there who are bullying and who are holding them back and are keeping them down. There's also some good men out there, and I think what you need for women, I think, is to understand that you ought to be perhaps talking to someone in C-suite level who's a man to explain to him what your issues are, why you feel as you are, and what men should do to enlighten them. When women spend perhaps a lot of their time talking to each other, that's not breaking through the ceiling. Yeah. That's not getting the message up there. That's it. So that would be just a quick point, I think, on that one. Contentious though it might be to some.
And it's not about changing opinions. It's about sharing your views and your values. Yeah. Because I admire them very much. And just being curious and to bring to the audience the man behind the mask.
Well, thank you. Thank you. The Iron Mask.
Okay. I love that show.
That's a good analogy. I think well, everybody has values and everybody has opinions. Let's be honest. What is happening? I talked earlier on about the shoulds. You should do that. You should do that. Well, we're also being force-fed opinions. You should think like this. This is what you should believe. And you need to, in coaching, you learn to take a step back and to look at everything without judgment. To see things as they really are, which is very important, I think, to assess how things are going on at the moment, because it's not black and white at all. No. It's always shades of grey.
And with that lovely introspection, what challenges have you faced as a man through this beautiful evolution of yours to sitting here today?
As a man, of course, men in some cases have it easy, but on the other hand, I think my challenges were the same as perhaps any human being's challenges are. Believing in yourself, are you capable? I remember I was doing a PhD, and I remember saying to the Nelorine Cornelius, who won't mind me mentioning her name, I'm sure, who's a great HR professor in the UK. I said to her, Nelorine, I can't do this. I'm not academically gifted. I don't know how to. And she laughed and said to me, you know, Keith, we all feel like that. We all feel there's going to be a knock on the door and someone's going to come along and say to you, come on, you're not really up to this. You know, we've been found out. And that was very refreshing for me to hear that even at the very senior levels and people who really do know their stuff still have that feeling from time to time of, can I do this? So as a man, yeah, constantly, can I really do this? Am I able to do this? But I think that's a human condition, not just a male condition.
Okay. Thank you for that vulnerability. That was really nice. And what's your vision? Like I think I don't know if I accurately questioned this earlier. But what do you want to bring to the world, to Luxembourg, to your grandkids?
You know, I would love to say that there's something that I personally can bring, but I don't know if it's that. I think what I would say is that I like to be supportive of. I prefer to be someone maybe behind someone that's doing something great, because there are far more capable people out there. So that's again a reason to be on the British Chamber of Commerce People in Leadership Group and also the ICF board. So collectively we can achieve a lot, individually less so, I think. So pushing for the greater good with a group of other like-minded people is really the answer.
Your humility just stood out there, because I feel the best leaders are the ones who are more humble and rather push-ups. You know, I know it's a balance of leading from the front, leading from behind, but that kind of, when you see the leaders we have nowadays, they just want to feed their egos, have the power, this kind of humble, supporting the world is very, very, very admirable.
Well, you know, great leaders eat last, and working in a military environment, I've actually seen that, where generals would wait until all the others had eaten before they would go and get their food. I mean,
even in a simple act like eating.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you see senior military officials, you know, I have a lot of time for that, how impressive they can be as leaders. That they stop along a line of soldiers, and they will remember someone's name and ask about the family and ask how they are. You know, that ability to connect with others is really important. If you're not like that, if you're the type of person that just, you know, you do this, you do that, follow me because, you know, I've got. If you do that, you're going to end up on a hill wanting everybody to charge over the hill, and they're all going to say, "Go on your own." You know, you have to bring people with you, and I think that's very important.
I see that you personify that anyway. That's great. So right, he's authentic in that. That I can vouch for. Stuff. The rest, I'm not sure. But and so, Pete, I have 1,000 questions. I'm trying to connect with you, but there's so much to ask you.
No.
What are you? You're sitting here, British guy from Lewisham, sitting with a Zimbabwean guy. What are you most proud of?
You know, that's
everything you've been through, bringing kids, grandkids.
Wow,
what is it? You're sitting and having, this is my golden nuggets. You know, these are a couple. These are this is me. This is what I'm most proud of.
I think anyone who has had a family is going to ultimately say what you're most proud of is your children. And of course I am. I'm very proud of that, of how they've turned out. I think exceptionally so. If you put that to one side, there's been a couple of things in my work life that I've been very proud of. And I think also the ability to say, and I don't like to say it, but I will, but walking the walk and talking the talk. You know, I did actually change career. I did do something in later life. I did do the things that I like to help people to do. So I feel that that I can be proud to say that, you know, I'm not just saying it. I'm actually, you know, you can
embodying what you're trying to do.
So to be immodest for my moments, you know, that would be the thing I would say.
So what is it like if you took?
Well, I took immodest. I mean, so you know, I took degrees in later life while I was had a family, and yeah, I think and did things. So I think I can encourage people because I've done it. I know it's hard, but you can do it. So that's, I suppose. But thank you for giving me that opportunity to show off.
I don't think you narrowed it down. What is it exactly? Like, if you have the bottom line in coaching and the terminology, what is that? I would like you to be more proud.
I'm proud of being able to say that when others talk and want to change their careers, I can tell you I have done it, and I genuinely know where you're coming from and the difficulties you'll face. That's why I believe I can help you.
I had to pull that out of
You did a bit. You did a bit. You did a bit. I had to telegraph that one.
I'm
Yeah.
making my money, yeah. I'm earning.
No, thank you, thank you, and really insightful questions. I think it's difficult to talk. I mean, some people are very, you know, if you're Donald Trump, you can talk about how great you are and how wonderful and how you know things and stuff. But most of us are just not like that. So it's very difficult to tease that out from people.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate, thank you for allowing me to do, you know, to do that.
And it came up organically because I told Keith we don't prepare, but we shared earlier, and I was just honoring him on how he serves the world, but you know, never seeing how much that doesn't come like you do it so greatly that to honor it is so powerful. I wouldn't want you to miss it because you bring it to me. I'll speak for me. You bring it to me, so I don't want you to also not see that it's not an everyday thing. Not everybody's walking around with that kind of spirit and energy and kindness. So,
well, I say again, back to the fact that you need good people around you, and you need positive people, and you need to thank and recognize those people that have got you to where you are. You know, as a young civil servant, little things I remember that people said to me that meant a lot to me. Someone that said to me, you know, Keith, when I was moving on in my career, saying, you know, I'm going to watch you. I'm going to watch how you do in your careers. You know, I'm expecting really good things from you. Well, whether he was or whether he ever cared less after I left the building, perhaps not. But the thought of that someone that felt that way was really inspirational. And we talk about coaching. We don't talk about mentoring, but mentors are like shooting stars. Okay, they don't come along very often.
yeah.
And when you see someone, they're bright, they're capable, they're really, you know, they've got something that others don't. Remember that they don't last long. Okay, they'll be out of your life quite quickly. So if you get the chance to grab them and take what you can from them, you know, make sure you do.
Oh, I love that. That's
Yeah.
really great. You do mentoring too, just for people to know, because the marketing for you too. So
well, sure, but I'm also talking to those in the workplace who have got people around them.
Okay.
And you know, if you see someone who's impressive in your area of work, in your career, go and ask. Go and say to them, listen, I know this might sound odd, but would you mentor me? And see if they'll do that, because often people will be very pleased to do that. They'll be quite proud of the fact that you've asked them. And if they'll give you their valuable time to tell you, you know, what worked for them, what didn't work for them, how things are done around here, what will get them to places, worth $1 million. Yeah.
And onto a little bit more of, to go, but not much longer, but go a bit deeper. If you look back, what would you say to your 16, 18-year-old self?
It'll be all right. I mean, when I was younger, I used to lark around at school. Perhaps that's the humour thing, and I didn't take too much very seriously. It took me till I was about 20 odd years of age before I realised that the work that the teachers were asking me to do and the professors were asking me to do was not for them. It was actually for me. It took me that long to realise, oh my goodness me, they don't really need to have my essay in, but it's so I learn what that subject is about. So it took me a long time, a bit of a slow learner in that sense. So I think I would be saying to my 16-year-old self, maybe I'd give them that notion at 16 rather than at 20-something. And also, God, for boys and men, you know, it is hard. You know, boys go through exactly the same thing that girls go through. Their looks, you know, my nose is too big, I'm too fat, whatever. And they go through exactly those same personality crises that girls go through. And sometimes far worse. You know, boys are the ones that are more likely to be beaten up and get into fights. Boys are the ones that are likely to join the armed forces and go and get into conflict. Sadly, boys are more likely to be ending up in prison or borstal than girls. So that coupled with all the other things that are going on with drugs and so on and so forth for the teenagers now, I think it was easier when I was a teenager. Yeah. But nonetheless, some of those things still went on. So I would be saying to my younger self, it'll be okay. And all the bad things that are going, if there are bad things going on in your life, those things will end.
Very powerful.
Is that okay?
Yes,
thank you.
There's no right or wrong. It's just what you share. And what would you say to your future self?
Future self? Yeah.
Give it a time span of 10 years.
So you're still alive?
I'll come to your grave and have a pint with you. I promise you that.
How the hell? Yeah, I mean, We don't know. This is a fascinating thing, and I've been reading quite a bit about this lately. And it goes back to Aristotle. Aristotle would look at time, and he said, you know, time, something that's happened is past, it's gone, you can't recreate it, it doesn't exist anymore. The future, it's not here yet, it doesn't exist. It will come, but it's not here. So it's an imaginary thing that's not here. And now is this thin sliver between the two. Start of our interview and the end of our interview today, you know, there's this thin sliver of now. Now is where everything happens. You know, read books by Eckhart Tolle or others. Now is where it all happens. So really live in the moment, enjoy what you're doing now. And that's what I'll be telling my 80-year-old self.
So we've got another 25 years to go to get it. And what message would you, as we come to a slow close, what message you want to give people looking to change careers, men, girls? What's your philosophy and something you would love to see from your heart?
From my heart, and absolutely truthfully, just three things. Okay, know yourself, and I mean know yourself. So that means know your personality. What do I like? What do I dislike? What are my values? What really matters to me in life? What are my skills? What are my talents? You know, everything about yourself, and get to see yourself as other people see you. That's the first thing. Second thing is know what you want. Given that I know myself, what I really want to be doing is this, not that, this. And then know how to get there. So the third part is, okay, so now I've identified myself, what I want, now I need to get there. So in my coaching, I use the analogy of the red bridge, little red Japanese bridge. You know, so first of all, you're standing at one side of the bridge, getting to know yourself. Then you're looking at the other side of the bridge, what's available on the other side, this and this. Okay, great. I want to go there. And now walking along the bridge, doing all the things that you'd pick up in career coaching, you know, the CV, the networking things we've spoken about. So it's really important. Know yourself, know what you want to get there.
Is that okay? Anything else you want to share?
No, that's more than enough. Oh, I like that bit.
Yeah.
Super
Manly, unhealthy toxic masculinity right there. Listen, thank you for listening, Keith. Thank you for being here. We've been planning this for the longest time. If I implore you, if you want a mentor, a coach, wise words, friendly conversation, reach out to Keith. I've gained a lot from him. I have learned a lot from him, and I can guarantee you he's open-hearted and he'll be happy to meet you wherever you are. Thank you for listening, and we hope you gain something from this. And if you have any questions, you need anything from Keith or me, please feel free to reach out anytime.
Thank you very much, Lindsay.
Thanks.
Thank you.